Good morning, traders. Please like my video if you get a chance. Retweet me if you get a chance on X, and I appreciate any comments below and stuff like this. So anybody who follows me in my chat from yesterday, I was warning big time for the risk of a big gap up this morning. Guess what's happening this morning? The big gap up. Surprise, surprise. So my main takeaway reason I was making that call out, we were breaking above the weekly point of control using volume profile. Yesterday's price action, we were breaking above that weekly point of control, uh, uh, suggesting we were crossing onto the bullish side on a weekly time frame of inventory, which anytime you do that, you potentially set up the squeeze scenario. And that's exactly what we were having early on this morning. Okay, we're gapping ES futures right into the daily 20 SMA. So we're gapping right into resistance early on this morning. It's a global rally. It's happening all across the planet this morning. Uh, Very strong upside in Europe early on this morning here. I do have, see this red channel right here on my chart. Let me expand this out, show you where that channel comes from on the daily here. Okay, guys. So you see the August lows to right here. This is our current channel. We are currently gapping up into that channel. Okay, and right into a critical resistance area early on this morning, the 20 SMA. Okay, so let's definitely keep this in watch. We're opening up at 54.29, so we're opening actually above that on the daily. So 54.29, we are breaking out above this downtrend line. So early on this morning. So be mindful of that. It puts us 54.29. Yeah, put this right in here. Okay. So we're opening right into this area right here, the 20 SMA daily. Okay, guys. So be very mindful of that. What is playing out here? Okay, uh, and so we have to be very careful, on the short side, where we're, with what the markets are doing early on this morning. Everything seems to be de-escalating early on this morning. Okay. Now, if I go over to the NQs, 1 second here. Similar situation here on the NQs. Okay. Okay, guys, we're well above all of our VWAPs. We're gapping into the 20 SMA. It almost perfectly mirror to the S&Ps. We're both coming up both into the daily 20 SMAs early on this morning. Okay, we are currently at 18,839. 39. The channel high is actually at 19,174. In my opinion, that suggests we might have some more fuel in the tank during the cash session, a break above that 20 SMA this morning. So be very mindful because that would put us into that main backtest area, which we aren't even quite there yet. So let's be mindful of that as we go in today's session. Okay, and similar situation, the October low, that downtrend line. So we're not even into that yet. So we are coming off of a lower base for this rally in this morning's session. So be mindful of that. And the S&Ps are actually breaking above that downtrend line early on this morning. So be mindful of that as well. Okay. But we are into a major resistance at 20 SMA backtest. So we will have to be mindful of that as well. Okay. Okay, similar situation, guys, here. The Russell. Okay, so we are 1940. We zoom in here, this downtrend, similar situation from the August. If I zoom in here on the daily, right here around the 1940, 1950 area, this is the top of our downtrending channel. We are into the 20 SMA early on this morning. Showing a little bit more strength this morning, right above that 20 SMA, in a much steeper slope. So it's a lot easier to break something like that in a much steeper slope situation. Uh, we still 1982 is the main test. 1980 area, that is our main back test area. So we could actually rally all the way up to 1980 possibly. So be very mindful. That's another 40 points higher. We're already up 2.2% this morning on that. I do want to point out on a weekly time frame, we're at the value area high using our volume profile. So we are into a double topping situation early on this morning. A potential double topping that gives us resistance as well, potential resistance. So we haven't broken out of this. We haven't broken out of this, and we're into the 20 SMA. So, it's hard to say how this is going to play out. But I did want to point that out as we go in today's session. So I was really concerned that our failure to fill this gap was a concern, the lack of short-side interest in the markets. We had a double top up into this gap, and we just could not fill that gap. It just felt like, you were just pulling teeth to try to get the bearish action in the market. And then we saw other things that were just taking off to the moon, like there was a risk on appetite under the hood in the markets. And that's exactly what my feeling of the markets were setting up yesterday. Okay. So we're right at a major critical support area here on the VIX futures this morning. We could very well be, we could that could become new support. We'll see how it plays out here. But it does look to me like, as we get further along into this earnings season, that this VIX is going to break down, potentially trying to fill this lower gap. As we get more information in, there are companies doing very well, even in this tariff environment. And, it looks like it's max fear before the numbers are coming out, and they are trying to uh, uh, take take the risk, the short side risk gets squeezed after the earnings come out. Okay, so that's my primary thesis that I have going on in this morning's session. The ZNs this morning, uh, we don't have any major bond options this week, and they seem to be settling down. Credit spreads seem to be settling down as well. So there's nothing on the bond front, and this is our biggest worry with all this tariff stuff that's going on in the markets. And we're moving away from the tariff news, if you haven't noticed. Now we're talking about Zelensky and Ukraine. We're talking more. The news flow is starting to move away from all the Ukraine. So Ukraine being center or terrorists being center stage of the news flow. And that's a good sign as well. Basically the news is telling us that there's viewer exhaustion from talking about the tariffs, and they want to move on to different topics. And that right there gives you a tell that things are changing in the global scene. Okay. Okay, guys, I shared this live in my Discord and some other discords as well. And I was really thinking that we were going to be around the 250 area at post earnings, thinking that Tesla was going to get a squeeze, and that's exactly what we got in the overnight session. Um, uh, Elon came out de-escalating worries that uh, his focus was too far away from Tesla, and trying to insulate himself a little bit away from the current administration and their policies. And basically the market liked that, and basically we ran back into the weekly point of control, on Tesla. It's not necessarily bullish, but it's definitely not bearish. Okay, so basically we're getting just a relief rally, a squeeze in the, yeah, because there's all these shorts into that into uh, weekly equilibrium, here on Tesla early on this morning, which that is in itself a positive development uh, going forward here. So be very mindful here. We're in this downtrend. We're at the top of this downtrend here. Could be breaking out. We don't know if that's going to happen or not. But I'm just saying, this relief rally right here, it just took the extra, directional risk to the downside. It alleviated that as the shorts covered their positions. That's pretty much my take on that. Other things happening in the news this morning. IBM, guys. IBM this morning. IBM. IBM. Uh, we were trading it at the weekly point of control. They're cutting 20% of their managerial workforce. So quite a few employees are planning on to trim with the new CEO. So This is really good. IBM is probably the one that's going to benefit the most by onshoring semiconductor production in probably North America. I'm not saying it's going to be put in the U.S., but it's probably going to be put, all this semiconductor production will be ultimately put into North America between Canada and Mexico, in my opinion. So let's definitely keep this one on watch. A nice little pop here this morning, thinking that efficiencies will be a lot better for IBM under the new CEO this morning. Another thing that's going on this morning, NVIDIA's here, probably getting a little bit of a boost off that as well. Let's see, where is it versus the 20 SMA? Okay, NVIDIA 106. 106 is the 20 SMA 107. So we're still below our daily 20 SMA. So we're getting a nice little relief rally. We're into a double topping here on NVIDIA. NVIDIA has been showing relative weakness. Even yesterday it was showing relative weakness. But that is what's happening today. Things that were giving me the idea that we were probably most likely going higher in today's session. Netflix yesterday. Netflix got this nice, massive squeeze into all-time highs. Well, I don't know if it's all-time highs, but into extreme highs here in Netflix yesterday. Really beautiful setup that was giving us a really good tell that there was a risk-on appetite in the markets when you saw stuff like Netflix doing this. There was a risk-on appetite in the markets, and you see those big moves. It's hard. It's really difficult to get those downside moves similar to what we're seeing, to the upside moves. That suggests very easily that there's a risk on appetite. Okay, MSTR, another one, similar, almost exactly the same type of chart pattern. MSTR, and it took off to the moon yesterday. Both of those were giving us that there was a climate shifting into a risk on appetite into the markets. So you have to be very mindful of some of these big names. And whenever they start doing that shift, that you're not caught holding the bag on the short side. So, and I think a lot of traders, that's exactly what happened. They were uh, late to the party on the short side, even trying to add more shorts yesterday. And here we are this morning, they're getting completely obliterated. So, hopefully they didn't, not too many of them were too heavily short the market. Okay, other things that are happening yesterday. Well, I saw Amazon had a really nice relief rally yesterday. So basically, we had come out, we had the uh, uh, one of I can't remember what his name is. One of the big wigs out of the Trump administration was talking about how the tariffs were unsustainable between the U.S. and China in a supposedly a private meeting or something like that, and the markets loved it. And the benefit, what we saw in the markets here was Amazon, Amazon who's getting hit the absolute most from these tariffs. They're just they have the risk like you would not believe with this whole tariff market. They're right center stage of the tariff war. Okay, and what they did after that news came out here, we we managed to rally right back into our uh, weekly point of control on Amazon. Nice little squeeze. This is one of our big outperformers, over 3% yesterday in Amazon, as the markets got a nice little squeeze in anything China related tariffs. Okay. In addition, and this was my trade of the day, I was in Apple calls yesterday, and you know it, uh, I got in Apple calls based off of volume profile, and I was waiting to see the ESs. If you see, if I go over here on the smaller time frame, okay, yesterday, okay, uh, so what I was basically, we had to wait for a break above uh, what was it, 5420. We had to wait for a break above 5420. Uh, I think that's right, wasn't it? Yeah, yeah. Okay. So the Friday close right here, that's what I was looking for. So I was waiting for a move that regained the uh, uh, Friday close. Okay, and so basically, once I saw what we were doing right here, I was actually looking to get some Apple calls early on yesterday morning as we were coming back into that Friday close, and so basically the real buy yesterday though, it wasn't, we weren't really getting the trigger on the 15 minute until about 3:30. That was the breakout. But, we were looking all the way through here for the long side, in my opinion, as we were building a base above that Friday close. Okay. And boy, they squeezed it pretty hard right there into the final minutes of yesterday. Okay. On the ES futures. Well, that being said, Apple, um, what I was seeing on Apple, we had a really nice move in Apple yesterday. This is Tuesday right here. Uh, and I was a little bit late to the party. So what I was looking at here, I was using my volume profile. And ultimately, I was looking for a move back up into this. I kept calling out 201. I was really looking for the 201 area. And uh, the thing that I was actually looking for here on the volume profile, let me show you. This here is the weekly volume profile. That's your monkey bars. And my final little takeaways right here. This is the 4-hour monkey bars, and here's our point of control on the 4-hour. And you see how this point of control was right here on this breakout right here. You see this inverse head and shoulders. We had this 4-hour point of control breakout. I got in right here. Okay, I was getting in right here on this breakout on Apple. Okay, and so I had a really nice win uh, on Apple. I took it. I think I got it up into this area right here. We got into this double topping area, and I was getting out right here into this double topping area. I had a nice little win here, got out way too early, but ultimately I was actually looking for this downtrend line here on Apple to rally up into that. Okay, and this is that downtrend on the 4-hour. Okay, and it looks different on the 1-hour, but see, we come up into it, and that rejects, and this really is starting to look like a clean breakout that we are setting up here. We got the higher lows. This is really starting to look a trend change breakout here in Apple. So be very mindful. And of all the mega techs, Apple it was showing the absolute most relative strength on the structure. So I was actually going to the long side on the strongest of the mega techs, and it really worked out for me yesterday. And so this is really important to know that. Okay. So my theory is, or my takeaway is today we could digest the rest of today's session, barring some sort of news event. Uh, could very well be digesting the move because we're into these daily 20 SMAs to open the session. So, uh, do I really want to be taking in a directional to the upside right now? We could be very, very well digesting, or we could actually, that could become new resistance and profit taking could be happening. We're into a major critical support on the VIX. Uh, to me, it looks like VIX is about to break down. I don't know. We'll see how it plays out here, but to me, the VIX does look like it's about to lose critical support in today's session. So we'll see how it all plays out. Okay. Thanks a lot for my video. Like I said, retweet me if you get a chance.